All right, welcome back to U.S. History. Today, we're going to start Chapter 13, Westward Expansion. All right, so we have a new term that I want you to know. It's called Manifest Destiny. And it's pretty important because it's going to be I call it the guiding spirit of this time period. So make sure you know what that means, okay? We'll talk about Oregon Country. You need to know a mission, okay, Spanish missions, and they're protected by the Presidio, but for whatever reason, mission seems to be much more important, so make sure you know that. A couple of fun trails, Santa Fe and Oregon Trail, and then we'll get into the Mountain Men, which you'll remember from last year in Utah studies, okay? So pause the video right here, write a few of these things down, but for time's sake, we're going to keep going. Make sure you write down, make sure you're taking good notes. Just because you're online doesn't mean that you get to skip the class. You gotta work hard. Here we go. Okay, what was Manifest Destiny? It is the destiny for the U.S. to go all the way to the Pacific Ocean, sea to shining sea. How did the pioneer trails develop? Well, it starts off as Native American trails. Then they become mountain men trails, and then those mountain men will eventually show the next wave of pioneers how to move about in the West. And then what's life like? It's very challenging, arguably very dirty. We'll talk about that. Okay, so what does it mean to go west? If you remember, back before the Revolutionary War, there was a proclamation line. What was that proclamation called? Proclamation Line 1763. You're not allowed to go west of the Appalachians. So the Ohio River Valley, that used to be west, all right? Now, west means going much further. So settlers sort of skip the plains. They'll go back and settle that in a minute. They're going to go over to Oregon Country and Mexico. So what does that mean? So let's take a look at this map. There's our 13 colonies. That's how the U.S. starts off. Then we're going to spread out. There's going to be a compromise that brings in Maine and Missouri. What was that called? The Missouri Compromise, right? Okay, cool. Notice here this giant orange section. That's all Mexico. All right. So where Utah is located, this would have actually been Spain up until 1821, and then it becomes Mexico. All right. So on page 445, who claims Oregon Country? Take a look and figure that out. Okay, it's going to be a couple of different countries: United States, Great Britain, I think Russia as well. But who is not mentioned in your book? The Native American tribes, right? And I just want you to see that. Who writes the history? If the Native Americans wrote this book, they would include the name of tribes. And so I just want you to see that, okay? Okay, you see all of the Spanish borderland, this orange, okay? Culture, it's history, it's all Spanish. That still impacts the Southwest to today. The land is claimed by Spain from the 1500s up until 1821. When Mormon pioneers came to Utah, they were leaving the United States. They were actually coming to Mexico. Fun little fact. All right, so here's a primary source. I want you to take a look at what you're seeing here and tell me what you see. Okay, you see a little angel in the front. Okay, what else do you see? Okay, so it's talking about progress. So you've got, the first pioneers, and then the stagecoach, and then later you've got the train, and you've got the telegraph line, the Erie Canal, and out here it's dark, but out here it's light, okay? And so this is the painting that represents manifest destiny, that we are going to bring civilization to the West. Okay, so make sure you write down manifest destiny, the belief that America should just keep on going. We should go all the way to the Pacific Ocean, sea to shining sea. The exact quote was something about possessing the whole continent, but pretty much we mean go west. I wanted to point this river out to you right here. You got this one. You got right here, these rivers. Okay, look. Even this late in the game, people still believe that the Salt Lake somehow was connected to the Pacific Ocean. It's got salt in it. It must be connected to an ocean. Obviously, that's not true, but they still believed it. All right, in Mexico, if you're born in Spain, then you're at the highest level of their social hierarchy. If you're Spanish but born in the New World, then you're a level down. If you're a mix between Spanish and Native American, then you're Mezitos. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Forgive me if I didn't. And then Native American, and then an enslaved person. So that is your hierarchy. I was supposed to ask you, what is the economic system that the Mexican settlements were practicing? Mercantilism. What is the rest of the United States practicing? Capitalism. This is going to give the American colonies an economic advantage over the Spanish colonies. Okay? So here you go. You have to know this. The mission. It's an outpost to incorporate the natives into Spanish culture. So the Spanish priests are going to teach the Native Americans Catholicism. But they're also going to teach them the Spanish way of life, how to farm, how to dress, things like that. And then how do you protect these missions with presidios? And then sort of, today we'd call that hearts and minds or something like that. We do this in Afghanistan. We build schools and we help them out culturally and things like that, but then we also have military bases. And so it's sort of a similar setup here. Okay, if you remember Mexican independence, 1821, the Mexican government takes away the Spanish missions and they're going to give it to these rancheros, which will be important in chapter 19. So just know that there's going to be some ranches. Okay, 450 and 451, I want you to read it because I'm afraid you're not. I'm going to read a part to you real quick. He says, I saw a tall slouching fellow contemplating the contents of his tin cup, which he had just filled with water. Look here, you, said he. It's chock full of animals. The cup exhibited, in fact, an extraordinary variety of animal life. Okay, they're drinking water. They're on the trail. We're talking about the Oregon Trail coming up here. And they're drinking water, and it's got stuff in it that's moving around. So just think about that the next time you have a tall glass of water. Like, we've come a long way. Our water is very clean compared to that. Okay, this is Utah Studies. Juan Riviera, first European into Utah, he makes this little red trail, followed by the most important one, Dominguez Escalante. Hopefully you remember this from 7th grade. If you don't, you get another chance to learn about it. Okay, quick. Dominguez is in charge of the expedition. However, it's called the Escalante Staircase. Why is that? Because he writes it down. Okay, he writes it down. He took the journal. If you write things down, history loves you. If you don't write it down, history does not love you. Is that fair? It's not fair, but that's how it works. This is all going to be the backbone for the old Spanish Trail, which goes from Santa Fe to Los Angeles, and it's an important trading route. Here's another picture of the old Spanish Trail, but the picture is different. Here's the Oregon Trail, Independent, Missouri. By the way, there's supposed to be a shortcut. Turns out it's not really a shortcut. It comes down here. What was that shortcut called? Do you guys remember that? I'll give you a hint. Donna Reed Party. Okay, Hastings Cutoff. All right, Lansford Hastings. Do you guys remember that from 7th grade? That's okay. So make sure you know some of these trails. Okay, here's the Santa Fe Trail. Notice it leaves out of the same place, Independence, Missouri. That's where all these trails are going to start. And then this one goes south. So there you go. You should be able to draw these trails, or at least identify them if I put them on a map. It's on the test. You have to pick and choose and know where these trails go. Hey, if I went too fast for you, just rewind it and watch it again. Okay, here we go. Santa Fe Trail, boom, important trading route from the United States to Mexico. Done. Oregon Trail, people are going to flood the West on the Oregon Trail. That's what you need to write down. That's what you need in your notes. Boom, it's red, so you know it's important. Oh, it's got an arrow? Oh, man. Okay, super important. You guys got this. Okay, the Indian trails are used by the mountain men. Then the mountain men, do you remember what they were hunting, by the way? Beaver hats, and the beaver hats get exchanged for silk hats. People don't care about the beaver anymore, so now the mountain men are out of business. Well, what are these mountain men going to do? They're going to share their knowledge with the later pioneers, and that's how the knowledge gets disseminated down to the rest of the pioneers. This video is short because there's another video attached where you have to get to watch about the mountain men. So enjoy Mountain Men. Hopefully you took good notes, and I'll see you back here real soon.